Welcome to One Tired Teacher, episode 73, Distance Learning, STEM, and Educational Reform. Oh my goodness, today is such an exciting episode for me. I have met my spirit animal, Dr. Yen Verhoeven, and she is incredible, and I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation. We definitely start off talking about, like, the whole point was to talk about STEM and to talk about the next generation science standards and how that overlaps with the Common Core or like literacy or literature and informational text standards. However, we end up talking about what is really needed right now, which is distance learning and ways to think about e-learning and how important that is. And then we really get on a hot topic of educational reform. It is incredible. I hope you stick around.
Welcome to One Tired Teacher. And even though she may need a nap, this teacher is ready to wake up and speak her truth about the trials and treasures of teaching. Here she is, wide awake. Wait, she's not asleep right now, is she? She is awake, right? Okay. From Trina Debery Teaching and Learning, your host, Trina Debery.
Hey, so today is incredible. I don't know what else to say about it because it becomes like such an incredible conversation. And I really get fired up when I meet people like Dr. Yen, and it makes me excited. Like, it gets me really excited about talking about education and what it could be and what it should look like. And also really looking at the struggle that teachers are having right now during this really, really intense time of life, and what's happening with COVID-19 and what's happening with distance learning and just the crisis that we're, like, our world is in. And so it's intense. So it's an intense conversation, and I hope that you will join me till the end. And it's a long one. I'm going to tell you right now, it's a long one. Like, we could have kept going, and that's the crazy part. And if you come and you listen to One Tired Teacher and you like want some strategies and tips and best practices, and like you want to hear some really cool things from teachers all over the place, then this is definitely the place for you. And if you want to see the softer, lighter, happier side of teaching, then this is probably not for you. Like, this is not the episode for you, because we're real. We're talking about like real things and what's really going on. And this is one of those truth times. And then I think it's really important. So I hope that you will stick around. But if you have to cut out early, then I understand that too. Because today I have a very special guest on the show, Dr. Yen Verhoeven. And Dr. Yen got her PhD in learning theory, which is extremely fascinating to me. I have always been really fascinated and intrigued by the way that people learn and think. When I was getting my master's in educational technology and media design in 2011, we focused a great deal on multiple intelligence, and we talked about the ways that students learn and think, and especially in relation to like a digital community and technology and the role that plays. And so I was always very fascinated by that aspect. And it was the majority. It was a huge part of my master's program. And I thought it was really interesting. And so when I met Dr. Yen, I was like, oh my goodness, her expertise and understanding like how the brain works and how kids think and how people take in information was just really fascinating. And to be honest, when I first started talking to her and I heard her background, I thought to myself, I don't think I'm smart enough to have this conversation. But however, after just, shortly into the conversation, I realized that this person was like my soulmate, it felt like. I mean, I was like, there were times that I wanted to stand up and applaud, other times where she gets me really emotional. I get upset, and not because she hurt my feelings, but because it's like, you forget sometimes like your own personal things, and like they come back up, and it can be, it can be emotional. But she is incredible, and she's the founder and creator of Key Learning Group, which received a Bill and Melinda Gates grant last year, and it was to start this big global project to help elementary teachers better understand STEM and the processes around STEM and how it aligns with 21st century skills. And they were creating this library of resources around that. And then all of a sudden, just like all the rest of us, COVID-19 hit, and Yin quickly realized that teachers were thrown into distance learning with very little time to prepare or really understand the difference between like a virtual learning environment and a face-to-face learning environment in a school system. And as Yen realized that teachers were hurting so deeply, she and her company quickly switched gears and developed a teacher toolkit for distance learning. And I'm going to link to that in the show notes because I think it is a huge help and it's a benefit. And I think that teachers all over even if you're just starting e-learning, or even if you've been doing it for a while and you're finding yourself like completely and utterly exhausted, I think this will really help. And it is available for free. So, and that's kind of where Dr. Yan and I crossed paths for the first time. She and I are both proud presenters at STEMCon 2020 this year, which I talked about last week with Carrie Tracy, who is the host and creator of this incredible conference that's going to be taking place on April 24th and 25th. So there's still time for you, just so you know. But I talked about it last week with Carrie, and I'll link to that episode because if you listened to it, you might have gotten cut off at like 15 minutes. Well, the conversation was much longer than that, and it was full of great information about STEM, and I don't want you to miss out. I fixed it. There was like a technical glitch, which is kind of funny when you're talking about STEM, and then you have a technical glitch, and it's fixed. But if you already downloaded the episode, you may need to delete it and re-download it because for me, I couldn't get it to work on my phone after I'd already downloaded it. So I had to delete and re-download, and then I had the full episode. You can also hear it on the website at TrinaDevery.teachingandlearning.com, and that was episode 72. But I will link to it in the show notes as well. But in this conference, it is packed full of amazing presenters like Dr. Yen. In fact, there are 28 sessions that talk about STEM. STEM challenges, makerspace, podcasts in the STEM classroom, green screen, next generation science standards, and so much more. It's incredible. And the best part is that we have really made this conference affordable. And when you realize the value, you're going to feel like you got it, it was a steal. So again, if you missed last week's, I'm gonna link to that because I really want you to hear all about it. And Carrie talks about it specifically. And but it is really, it's amazing. I'm very grateful to be a part of this incredible experience, and I have gotten to meet some really special people. And we also just found out, I'm excited about this because I can finally share it. I've known about it for a little while, but we couldn't share it yet until it was absolutely official. But we have the author of Rosie Revere, engineer Andrea Betty. I think that's how you say it. Oh, she is incredible. And she is going to be in the Facebook group, which is also accompanies the course. The course is actually not in Facebook, so you don't have to be on Facebook, but we will have a Facebook group and we'll have so many cool bonuses and lots of giveaways going on. The Andrea Beatty. She, I don't know if you say it's Beatty or Betty, but she is giving away 5 of her books, and we have so many other cool prizes. That's over $2,000 in prizes, which I think is insane. So, and also if you register with my link, which is bit.ly /Debery STEMCon 20. That's Debery STEMCon 20. bit.ly /Debery STEMCon 20, then you will automatically, which I'll link to that in the show notes, you will automatically get my bundle, my Makerspace Moments in Literature bundle with the books. What do you do with an idea? What do you do with a problem? What do you do with a chance? I love those. I'm so excited. You don't get the books, but you will get the bundle immediately upon registering. And you also get Dr. Yen's videos on distance learning. That will be immediately available as well. And you get Carrie Tracy's huge pack of STEM challenges, which is actually worth the entire amount of the conference. So it's like you're getting the conference for free, and you're getting all those things, which is so exciting. And then you have a chance to win a bunch of other cool stuff. So it's going to be amazing. So anyway, so originally Dr. Yen and I are going to talk about the next generation science standards, like I said, and the overlap of the Common Core or reading and writing standards around the nation. But our conversation took a critical turn towards distance learning and the impact that COVID-19 has had on teachers and teaching. And I know that if you are currently in the classroom trying to teach from your house while also dealing with this crisis, you are most likely struggling. And it is completely understandable. You are being asked to do the impossible. And if you are managing it all, then you deserve a medal. And I'm serious, a medal, a standing ovation, a pat on the back, a hug. But since we are practicing social distancing, I offer you all of this from a distance, a virtual pat on the back, and a huge hug from me to you. This interview gets really passionate about the position we are putting teachers in during this time. And it also gets extremely passionate about education reform and like completely taking this system and breaking it down and building it up into something new and incredible. So I hope that you stick around until the end, because we get fired up, and it is something that I think is actually pretty special. So without further ado, let's get on with the show. So I am so excited to have Yen Verhoeven. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Dr. Yen, but I'm going to call her Yen, on the show from Professional Development for Teachers. That's what she does, and she's the CEO of Key Learning Group, and she is a wealth of information. I cannot wait for you to hear this conversation. So, Dr. Yen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Trina.
I'm so glad you're here. Tell us, my listeners, a little bit about, like, you are like, you studied learning theory and like how people learn and think. I want to hear a little bit about that. So tell a little bit about your background.
Okay, so I started out as a lab technician in a disease lab, tropical diseases lab, and the reason why I'm sharing that is it'll make sense in a minute.
Okay.
And then afterwards was when I became a high school teacher. For biology, I inherited a biotech program, and then from there, I was recruited to be a department chair in biotech. And what's interesting about that is there was a trajectory for me from, this focus on like facts and science and things like that, mm-hmm. toward like understanding, okay, well, when I went into the biotech realm, it was a lot of work readiness skills. Mm-hmm. We were about, technology and how do we prepare our students for jobs in biotechnology. So from there was when I had that huge shift. When I started out as a high school teacher, it was all about, memorizing facts, right? Like we always do. Mm-hmm. But then as I got into the biotech and went, wait a second, my students need to be able to dilute things. They need to be able to write SOPs. They need to be able to interview and write a resume. Mm-hmm. That's when I was like, there's more to it than just facts. There's these soft skills.
Yes.
And, and so I really started diving deep into that in my career. When I went into grad school, I went into science education initially, mm-hmm. And as I learned more about science education, I picked up my certification in online learning. And I went, wait a second. If we understand how people and students learn, mm-hmm. they can learn anything regardless of what the subject is. They'll learn it. Yeah. We need to just teach our students how to be good learners, like how to be self-directed learners, to know, what they need, when they need it, how to interpret it, and how to apply it. If we can do that, we have given our kids the keys to the kingdom.
Yes.
So
the ultimate gift. Absolutely. No, I love that. I like have the chills. Like that's so amazing. Okay, keep going.
And so that's why I focused on learning. And what's interesting about it is, here I was with this background in science, this online instructional design, and it wasn't making sense. Like, mm-hmm. it wasn't quite making sense. And so my thesis was actually developing a theory about how we learn in online spaces, because that's never been done before.
Yes.
Which is fascinating. So all the stuff that we've learned in, when we were teachers is based on face-to-face interaction.
Yes.
But online space is so different,
So
right? Like,
different.
I know, yes,
Yes.
you know, like technology people, technology teachers in particular, you get it. Like, it's a very different space. When you go into the classroom, you teach it differently.
Yeah.
The mindset is different. And so I wanted to capture that in a theory so that we, in general, would be able to create environments that kind of facilitate that learning in both online and offline spaces.
Yeah.
So once I got my PhD, a lot of my work has been designing professional development to help teachers bring back the learning theory to their teaching, but in a very different way because of technology.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think that it's so needed. There's such a need for it. It's like what a perfect opportunity for teachers to be able to like get to gain this information, because we need to understand why and how kids are learning and thinking, and how it's so different among different brains and different children, and that we need to honor it. It's not going to all look the same, and especially with the integration of technology.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, when I was getting my master's, I got this award for creating a collaborative digital or virtual community. And I was like, and I remember thinking it was because it was, a big deal to get an award from your professor. It was the professors got together and they decided who got the award for each thing. And I was like, what? I was like, whoa, I was so excited, but it's totally different. And you have to build that community and create that same safe environment for kids, just like you do in the classroom, but it's different when they're online. And it takes,
Absolutely.
and you want that community. You still need that community because,
you have to have it.
Yes.
But it's built so differently though. That was like, just going back to the 3 videos that I released, which are featured in the conference. Sorry, I have to keep that in, right?
No, we have to say that. In fact, I'm going to say that really
Yes.
fast, because last week I talked about the STEMCon conference, but now when this episode is coming out, the STEMCon 2020 is still ready to happen. And so I totally want you, I'll link to it in the show notes, but I totally want you to know that one of the greatest things, when you register, you immediately get Dr. Yen's, you immediately get 3 videos on distance learning, which is incredible. Like, that's just immediately happens, right? As soon as they purchase, then they get those automatically. That's before the conference even starts.
Right. And in addition to that, a number of the presenters created distance learning packets. So the 3 videos are going to really explain how you modify your teaching to be in those spaces. And don't worry, it's going to be a lot easier than you think. Which is part of the big message with online learning, is it can be easy if you understand the space. But then you can totally immediately apply that with those different bundles that are given by the other presenters. So this is like it's almost like a cheat, right? You sign up for the conference and now you got, the next 3 weeks planned out for you for distance learning.
I think that's incredible, because teachers are struggling right now with this distance learning, and they're thinking, I need all these things. And we were talking off the air about how we need to simplify.
Yes.
And we don't need all these things. And there's some things that we can do, and you're going to give that information to them like right away. And then they have some resources on top of it. So it makes it like you got all this stuff already, and you haven't even started. The conference hasn't even started. That's April 24th and 25th. That's incredible. That's crazy. Can you give a little bit of a hint of like a tip for listeners of what they would do, what they should be doing right now for distance learning? Like, what do they need to do in their virtual world?
Absolutely. And actually, I'm going to give 2 because I think both of them are equally important. The first one, Trina, you already said it, which is building your community. Like, before the content comes, you have to rebuild your classroom online. Like, it's almost like you have moved into this brand new classroom and you are starting over. And, as teachers, we're really good about teaching those habits again, about reminding kids about things that are familiar, but, also being able to put in new things because that environment is different. So building community, focusing on connecting with your students is number one, like above everything. And then the second is simplify. If you have 10 things that you want to do one.
Yes.
Because that'll be
Wow.
enough.
Yeah. That's significant. So you're not even talking about cutting it in half. You're talking about like completely cutting it down.
Absolutely. Because one of the things that people don't understand if they're not used to, how we learn online, is that when you're in an online space, learning becomes, I guess the easiest way to describe it is three-dimensional. You've got the technical aspects, you've got the resources, because you're no longer in a closed space. That's one of the biggest things that is difficult for a lot of people to understand, but it makes sense. When you're in a classroom, you're in a closed walls, right? So it's a closed system, but when you're online, it's open. It's completely open.
Yes.
Which is fantastic if you know what to do with it.
Yes, you're right.
But what that also means, right, is that for every one thing that you choose, in person, it's, one thing and it's flat. But in digital space, it's like three-dimensional. It's really, there's a million and one different facets to it. So even though you're sitting there going, oh gosh, I think this is just one learning objective, when it comes to digital spaces, there's more to it. There's a bigger cognitive load, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. I totally know what you're saying. But I think it's important. I think it's important for teachers to hear that part, because I think we get so, and I know it's like a trickle down effect of pressure. So we've got this pressure, like people saying you've got to do it this way, and they don't quite understand. And so then teachers who I feel like are like pretty typically rule followers, I think I might be
and perfectionist.
Yes, and perfectionist. And so they want to do it right. They want to do it well. They want to do a really good job. And so they listen to but then they find themselves so overwhelmed. And it's like, and they don't understand why it's not quite working the way that it works in the classroom. And so I think it's really important to say these things. And even if you've heard it before, I think it's important to hear it again, because you're in a situation that none of us have been in. And no matter how much technology integration you've done, you've never seen, in my lifetime, we've never seen this. So this is, having schools shut down, it's massive. So it's really important for us to hear that, because I think and it's almost like, I feel like, and I've heard it from my friends. I have a friend that's about to retire this year. This is her last year. So she's been teaching for 30 years. And she's like, I feel like it's my first year. And I'm like, it kind of is. Because this is your first year in e-learning. So it kind of is your first year. And when you said that, it made me think of, like, I just saw on Instagram the other day, someone had posted these Zoom procedures, like procedures and expectations for your students. And I was like, well, of course you would have that, because I'm like, you'd have to do your routines like you would do them when you the first day of school. Like, this is what we do and how we function. And I'm like, well, that makes total sense. But it's not something that, like, I don't think it just comes naturally to your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. And I think part of it is because we take face-to-face instructions in general, right? We take it for granted.
Yes.
Then when you get into these online spaces, you forget you now are no longer a three-dimensional person. You're an image on a scrine.
Yeah.
And now
they can ignore you. Yeah.
Yeah. Your student is still existing in almost two spaces, like their attention has to be split because they're not in the same frame of reference as you are. So, one of the things that I talk about is signposting. Like creating signs, creating those rules that you talked about on Zoom, like creating, like I said, it's like going into a classroom for the very first time, and you are, the new teacher, and these are your new students, and you have to just start from the beginning. But knowing that makes it easier.
You're right. No, you're right. And I think it's important, especially people that are getting ready to start that. This will be really good timing for them. If you've already been doing it for a little bit of time, you might want to, if you're struggling and your kids are struggling, you might want to stop like you would in a classroom and say, I've got to, I kind of have to start from the beginning again. We're going to start over. We're going to start this adventure over, because it's like, it really is. I mean, it's making me think of when one year I looped with my class from first grade to second grade a couple of times in my career. And I remember going into the second year with my kids, same kids, but they were going into second grade. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't have to go over the procedures and routines. They already know it. Like I kind of rushed it in the beginning of the year, and it was a hot mess. And I was like, okay, everyone, we're going to stop and we're going to go back and we're going to because I needed to. We needed to remember. We were now in second grade. We had 1 or 2 new students in the mix. So it was like, yes. So it kind of, even though, you're like, I know these kids, these are my kids, but it's different. So I think it's kind of a similar experience where you have to kind of stop and reset.
Yeah. And actually that, in a way, I think brings a lot of comfort to both you as a teacher, because, it is about like focusing on rebuilding the relationships that you have with your students, but also now your students get to see you in a different way. Like, I think the online space is such a great place to be imperfect. And I see it, in a lot of my teacher groups where they're like, oh my gosh, my Zoom was a disaster the first time. My cat was like in front of the camera or whatever. And the thing is, though, in some ways, having that imperfect experience helps your students. It brings the human back into things.
Yes.
Like, it's okay. Like when you make all these mistakes, it's okay to admit it and to say, hey guys, this is the first time we're doing this, and I'm not good at this. You guys aren't good at this, so we're going to learn together. You
totally are practicing all the growth mindset stuff that you've been talking about in your classroom. You're actually living it. You're like modeling it for the kids. And I think that is really important. And you're also making me remember, like, when I first started massively and, integrating technology after I had gotten, I'd gone to school and I was really excited. I was like ready to do all kinds of stuff. Well, I'd run into these roadblocks constantly. There was a barrier, the site would be blocked or whatever would happen, and people couldn't get on what I needed them to get on. And I remember feeling like, it was like constant failure. However, like the lessons that we all learned, the kids and myself included, was that we learned through that we persevere, that resilience, that grit. And it was like a class like I've never had, especially that first year, because I was like on fire because I was so excited. But no, I love that. I think that is so important. And it all comes back to connections, which I think are just such a valuable thing anyway. I think they're essential, and we have to take time for them, or we're going to be in a world of misery, is how I feel. Like I'm like, and it's the same thing in this situation. And they need us. They need us to connect with them right now, because they are like desperately searching out for human connection, because they're, so isolated.
Yes. And actually, that's one thing too. It's always been my motto of, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Because I know a lot of, tech teachers are like, oh, I got this doohickey and that doohickey, and we're going to do something with it. But, I'm going to just throw it in there. You're like, no. That's not how that works. Right? We have to focus on the learning, and then whether or not that tool is appropriate for it. Oh gosh, I totally lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's totally okay. It happens.
What was I about to say about that? Oh yes. So in terms of connection, like, if I'll give you an example. With all of the stay at home and everything, I have found a lot of peace in growing plants or in doing simple things. Maybe just break out a bunch of postcards and write handwritten notes and mail them off to your kids.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? Or even you could do a self-addressed stamped envelope, put an envelope in there and they can mail it back to you, or they can mail it to the district and you just pick it up or something. But
Yeah.
what I mean is, like, there's so many different ways to connect, like, and I would say parents and families appreciate that right now too.
Yes.
Like, when
Yes.
it comes to online learning, especially right now, you don't have just the kid, you have the
You're the
kid
family.
and
Yeah.
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 And I think, everybody's on edge, and a lot of parents are really appreciative when you include them in. And I
Yes.
think this is a great time for it,
I totally agree, because they need it too. I think we all do.
Yeah.
I think I told you I left the classroom and I'm the student support specialist. So I basically deal with kids that get in trouble all day long. That is my
Oh,
job. I
yeah.
know it wasn't what I expected. It's been difficult, but the thing that I love about it, first of all, I love those kids. I love all the kids that I see, and I see them and not the behavior that occurred. And I know that there's a reason for the behavior. And so I'm like working really hard to get that and to figure it out and help them, you know, be successful in the classroom. And so during this time, I'm like, oh, what does that mean for me? Because I'm not, they're not in the classroom. No teachers aren't calling and saying I need so-and-so out of the room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I can be a connection for these kids. I can do something. I can create a community with all the kids, which is like 700 kids. And I'm like, and I will offer times that I'll be on live and we will connect and we'll play games. I'll read them a story. We'll have conversation. And it has been like, I have seen some of my regular people that I always see because I've called them or they're texting me. Like we're reaching out in these
Oh,
different ways because
yeah.
I want to see them. I miss them. And so, but now I have kids from like that I never interacted with. All of a sudden I have all these kids coming on at different times during the day, and we're having this, like we're having fun basically. And we're talking, but the parents are there. The parents come too. The mom will be there. Like just a few minutes ago, I had a mom and she's sitting at the table with the daughter. I've never met the daughter. We just naturally just started talking because she knows who I am because she sees me around school, all the time. And
Yeah.
and so I'm like, and I think I'm a disappointment sometimes because I'm not the okay, let's go. Like I'm not that. Like my whole approach to behavior is figuring out the why of the behavior and helping them resolve what's going on, because I know the behavior is just a almost like a, not a consequence, but like it's happening because there's something else
Yes.
that's
Yes.
happening.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
so I feel sometimes like I'm a disappointment to teachers because I know that they're frustrated in that moment. And then I come in and I feel like they feel like, why aren't you like yelling? Why aren't you mad at this child?
Oh,
And I'm like, because I'm not, like, it doesn't affect me
right.
yet because I'm not in your shoes. Like it's not, I don't have 18 other kids and I'm not trying to teach a lesson. And so it's different for me. I get to see it in a different way. And so it's just it's crazy, but I don't know, but I have loved every moment of connecting with kids the past 2 weeks because I have gotten to meet so many kids and we're chatting. I have I put up a discussion thing every day and they're writing and I'm writing back. And again, some of them I have no idea what they look like. And because I have never met them face to face. And then all of a sudden they pop up on my screen and I'm like, hi, like I just saw them yesterday. And so
That's
it's
wonderful.
so fun though, like that part. And I feel a little bit guilty because I'm like, I'm enjoying that part. And I know it's like, teacher, they're struggling. It's like, because it's so
Yeah.
much, but I'm like, if we focused on that, and at least I'm like, I'm trying to offer it so that I'm also supporting teachers like massively in like troubleshooting and
Sure.
offering content and whatever. But because I mean, I know that their job it's overwhelming. It's so overwhelming right now. But I'm like, at
Yes.
least know that if you have a student that needs me, like I'm there. And like our kids need to know that somebody is there.
Yes. More so than learning the content right now. That's
I
not
think
the
so
important
too.
thing.
Yep. I think so too.
Like, yeah, if they have that connection with you, that's going to last. That's like the motivating piece of everything, is that
Yeah,
connection.
I
You know,
agree. So I think that's really helpful. I think that's great. And we kind of went off a little bit on a tangent, or I tend to do that anyway.
It's all
I
good.
know.
I think everybody needs to hear that though. Like, to be able to say, if you just are able to successfully connect with your students, that's like A+ right there.
Yes.
You're doing great.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yep. They need to know that. That's all that.
Yes.
It's just really as simple as that. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
as complicated as we feel like it has to
No.
be. We have to make it simpler. It will make everybody's life feel a little bit like you can breathe, because you're looking at all these
Yes.
people where it's almost like our whole world is like taking a breath. Like we had to slow down. We were forced to slow down. Our earth is taking a break.
Yes.
All the pollution and all the traffic and all the noise. And I'm like, but teachers are like just grinding away. And I'm like, no, we have to take a little bit of a pause too.
Yeah. Yeah. And also being able to say, teaching online, what districts are asking teachers to do by teaching online right now is impossible.
Yes.
And I'm saying that, like it took
Right.
me 2 years to get my online certification. I had to design 3 different classes, teach, do all these things in online space. Now, just to put things in perspective, when I do an online class, there's at least 1 to 2 weeks before the class even starts when I start contacting the students and I start getting them used to those platforms.
Yes.
So I get 2 weeks of headway, 1 to 2 weeks of headway before we even get to meet. You never got that as a teacher.
No, they're thrown into it.
You're thrown, exactly, like you're
literally
thrown
some
into
people
it.
had a weekend, or they took us on spring break, so we were still on spring break.
Goodness.
And then it was like they did give them a week. They gave them a week to prepare, but a week to like come up with
prepare.
a week to come up with content. Like they didn't even give them content. It was like you're gonna use Schoology. There you go. We've helped you. That's what it felt like. And so it was like, not only did they not even know how to use the platform, they didn't know. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
And how do you expect students to use it? You're not even there, and they're expected to do this all on their own. So that's why, the most important thing is if students feel you, like if you can just recreate those connections and it doesn't even have to be through Schoology, calling, texting, sending out postcards, like just connect the human back.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to fall into place. Really. Everything else falls into place. But, and breathe, just like you're saying, Trina, like breathe. It's okay. It's okay. And you're doing the impossible and you shouldn't have to. You're not expected to do the impossible. It is impossible. You are not only that, you're being asked to do something where most online instructional designers get like 2 years on several platforms, right? We get 2 years of training on this. So now you were asked for a week to do that.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're doing it in the middle of a crisis.
Yes.
And that's the other thing, right? To put it into perspective.
It's a literal setup for failure. You're absolutely
right.
Yes.
Like, how is anyone supposed to work, let alone learn, in the middle of a crisis when there are people that are worried about getting toilet paper at the store?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
So...
And our families, we have to take that in consideration. Like, are you able to, we know what Maslow's, higher order.
Yes.
It's like you're not getting your basic needs met, and that's actually happening. And then we don't understand why they can't do this reading whatever thing that we've put up there. We're not we don't understand. And we're like, oh yeah, because they don't have toilet paper. And they've got 3 people on a device and dad's out of his job. I mean, those things are like, it's hard. It's a hard time. We have to recognize that too. But you're right. They've been asked to do the impossible. And teachers, they are always asked to do things that are difficult, but this is like,
and I don't want to, no, okay, I'll say it because it's really true. It's time to stand up a little bit and just kind of be like, okay, people, do you get it? Do you understand what you just asked me to do? And do you understand that that's not happening? And I think there's what I'm seeing though, is, at least I live in Iowa, and we're very fortunate. I think our entire like state and system, our governor really understands that we have put people in this very stressful situation. And even our school districts are very reasonable about that. They're like, okay, we're going to provide this for you, but it's not required, because it's impossible to require
Yes.
people to do the same thing, right? And I think it's okay as a teacher, if you're in a district that's being unreasonable about it, you should speak up. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to say, listen, that is not happening right now.
Yeah.
You're not giving me the training. You're not giving me the time. But not only that, you are expecting me to teach in the middle of a crisis.
In the middle of a crisis. Yeah. We have to back off.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that should be the message, is right now you can say, back off. Yes. I am there and I'm giving my students love. End of story. This conversation is done.
Yes. I'm meeting them where they are. I'm meeting their needs. And that's the whole point, is we want to meet their needs. So, and their needs they're bigger than they are bigger than the content.
Oh my gosh. And we forget, there are families out there whose family members are sick with the virus.
Yes.
I mean, right, like I'm starting to hear it. I'm starting to get, friends, family members of friends that are, coming down with it and stuff. And so it's like, okay, this is going to get closer and closer to us, as time goes by. The most important thing is teachers especially are the biggest, how do I call it? Leaders when it comes to being human and when it comes to love. And I think right now is where we step up and we say that, say, don't you get it, everybody? This is not about the curriculum right now. Screw the curriculum. Yes. Right now, it's about showing everybody the love and compassion and empathy that this world needs.
That they need.
That's what they're teaching.
That's you're right. And that's a beautiful thing to teach them. And it's a life lesson. It's a lifelong lesson that we all can benefit from. So I think that you're right. I think, screw the curriculum, screw the content. It doesn't. I know. I agree. Amen. I feel like standing on a desk and start clapping. Like, that's seriously.
It's true though, right?
It's so true. It's so true. And it would make, it would alleviate so much like pain and suffering. I mean, honestly, I had a teacher in tears today, and she's great. She's so incredible, but was so overwhelmed because she's got 25,000 questions because she probably put out a lot of stuff too. And it's just, it's okay. And I told her, I'm like, it's okay. You're doing a great job. It's okay. No matter what you're doing, you're showing up. I'm like, that's the thing. We're showing up. Yeah. You showed up today. You're awesome. That's awesome. Like, you did exactly what you need to do. Yep.
Like, your students just need to hear you. They need to know you're there. They need to know that somebody loves them, and that it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
And I would say that's, the message that teachers, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. Just let go. Love yourselves, be kind to yourselves. It's something, in my teacher group and also our newsletter. It's funny because usually every week we send out a bunch of like great, STEM resources or, methodologies and things like that, because, the reason why I love my job so much is because I am in the service of, I think, one of the most noble professions in humanity. That to me is like, wow, I am so honored to be able to serve. And when they started closing schools, it was funny, because my team and I, we had all this great stuff laid out. And, we're like, okay, what do we send out for the newsletter? I said, nothing. All we send this week is to say, be gentle on yourselves, love yourselves, and do what feels right. That's all you need.
Yeah.
And like, and I think we have to remind each other of that.
Yeah. We do.
Right. Because especially I think all teachers have a very, we're driven, we're passionate, right? You know, we're perfectionists, and we want to make people happy, at the sacrifice of our own happiness.
Of our own happiness. No,
Oftentimes, right?
Yes.
You know,
a lot of times.
I read, a few months ago, I got this book, and it's probably one, Trina, you should read. But it's a little sad, but then it ends pretty happy.
Okay, good.
Sort of.
What is it? Okay,
it's called, it's Demoralizing. It's the demoralization of teachers.
Oh, yes. I saw this on, I think, what was it? I guess Facebook, something like that, where a teacher had to give, and like, she spoke up and said, and I was like, and she talked about the difference between feeling demoralized and then saying that she was burned out. She's like, burned out implies that I haven't done, that I haven't worked hard enough, or I haven't done something wrong. And she's like, or I could have prevented it. She's like, when we are demoralized, it's demoralizing when you are being told something that you have to do, and you know in your heart that it's the wrong thing to do. And honestly, like, before we were talking, that was one of the reasons I left the classroom, because I'm like, I can't continue to do what I know is wrong for students when I just can't. And I'm like, I'm not the person anymore. That's what I felt like. I wasn't the right person anymore. I'm like,
because the system took it away from you. You know, I mean, and that's the reason why I often walk around with little expletives to say, screw the system, because the system is broken.
It is.
It is. And so I'm going to use your podcast as a platform right now. I'm going to stand.
Go right ahead. Yes.
And I'm going to say this, the system is broken. It's not you. You are not burned out.
Yeah.
You are not overwhelmed. Well, you are overwhelmed, but it's not because you're burned out. It's not you. This is a system that expects you to do the impossible. It expects you to give without ever getting anything back.
Yeah.
It takes all the rewards away, right? And it's a system that pays you dirt cheap for it as well. It's a demoralizing system. And for most of you, you are being demoralized. And you have to understand that.
Yeah.
Because that's not your fault.
No.
And that's really important. I just, you can tell I feel very strongly about it.
No, I know, it's so true. And I think I feel emotional about it, because it was such a hard thing to leave. It was such a hard thing for me to leave at one point, because I did for a little while, because I'm like, wait a minute, that's who I am. Like, that's what I am. Like, I'm a teacher. Like, I identified with that. And I'm like, but that's exactly true. Like, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't because I was doing a bad job. It wasn't because I all of a sudden didn't care as much as I used to care. It was that it was just constantly taking. And it didn't care about me at all.
Right. Right. It just uses you.
Yes. Until you're completely like just nothing. Like, you feel like nothing.
Right. Because all they want, this system, and I learned this when I was in grad school. And grad school was when I just became an evolutionary. That's what I call it. An evolutionary. Because, when you look at the system, right, it's about conformity. And that's it.
Yes.
Like, we are as teachers expected to be robotic, to just teach to the curriculum, teach to the test.
Yes.
And then we're expected to have our kids fill bubbles on a sheet. Yeah. We are a factory of bubble fillers. And if you care, if you love your students, and if you care, you don't belong.
No, you're right. You don't belong.
And,
no, you're
and
right.
that's,
yeah.
Right?
And then, yes, I totally agree with you. Then you don't belong. And then you feel like then you feel lost, because you're like, what do you mean I don't belong? I don't belong anymore. I don't fit. And that's what I say all the time. I'm like, I don't fit in this. And I see so many kids, and I've said that to them. I'm like, it's okay. I go, it's okay not to fit into a system that doesn't work very well. And I'm like, and that's what it actually is. And I'm like, it's okay for this to be hard for you. It doesn't mean that you're not smart. It doesn't mean that you
Oh
can't
gosh,
think and you
no.
don't learn. And I'm like, it's just this one way that they want to see it. And you are capable of so much more than this one way. And so I feel like in that case, like I've been able to allow children to understand that, because there's so many that don't understand. They're like, I'm not smart. I'm dumb. I can't do this. I'm not
Oh
good at this. And they're
no.
constantly reminded that they can't do it. And
Oh,
that
it's
is
horrible.
heartbreaking. No, it is. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's yeah, and that's why, I'll circle it back to the reason why I even got started in all of this.
Yeah.
My goal when I started this company was to evolutionize education.
Mm.
I want to break the entire system and start over.
Yeah.
Let's bring the heart back to it, because and so it's hard to say that right now, but at the same time, speak up,
Yes. Speak up.
say something. Don't let this thing crush you and make you feel useless, because it's not you.
No.
And the more you speak up, the more it's going to make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it should, because you're fighting for your students.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
know,
you
and
are.
so
You're fighting for your students. And I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to have to be a grassroots type of
yes,
evolution. That's the only way that we're going to see a big change, because we're not going to see it from the top down.
Nope.
It's got to be from the bottom. We're going to have to rise up. Like, I mean, that's what it feels like.
Yes.
Doesn't it feel like that? I mean, it does.
That's exactly what it feels like. Yes, that's absolutely it. That's, because when I was going through, teaching, like before grad school,
Mm-hmm.
I was always like, oh yeah, education reform doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
Like, even, I spent so much time in grad school reading, like trying to figure out what is the magic,
Yes.
tool and stuff like that. And the thing is, the reason why it doesn't work is it's because of the system.
Yes.
It's not the teachers.
No, it's a system for sure. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And
So like,
yes.
even when you say ed reform doesn't work. It's like trying to always put new tires on the same car that's been around since the 1900s.
And it doesn't work. Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It's a factory mentality. It's an industrial revolution like mentality. And that's not where our world is anymore.
No.
And we clearly see that right now. This is a
Yes.
perfect example. So that it's not, we need a different car. We need a new car.
Yeah. Oh, we don't need a car. We need a plane. We need an airplane.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
an aircraft. A space or a hover or whatever. Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like maybe, and that's the thing is like, the time has come, and we already see this in the United States,
Mm-hmm.
where our education system no longer serves us.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the reason why we score so low every year.
Uh-huh.
It's not the tests, it's the system, and it's the way the system forces us to teach our students.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. I have had this conversation even with my own mom, where she's like, "Oh, I hear they're getting rid of the Common Core." And I live in the state of Florida, and I'm like, "Mom, it's not. That isn't it." I'm like, "That's not it, Mom." I'm like, "That's political crap. Like, I don't even know what else to say. It just is." And I'm like, "That's a game. That's such a game."
Yes.
And it drives me so crazy. And she's like, "Well, what do you mean? It's confusing math." And I'm like, "Ah,
no."
Yeah. I'm like, it was meant to help kids like think differently about math. And I'm like, and to really have this really strong number sense, and to like really understand why and how things work. And I'm like, just because we don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not better. And I'm like, we have to sometimes like, it's reframing your thinking. And I'm like, it's not, it just drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy.
But it's difficult though for people who aren't in education to understand,
you're
because,
right.
you've got the game of school. Like, and think about it, like globally, when our society thinks about school, it's the teacher at the front, the kids quietly talking,
Yes.
the kids not talking,
No.
sitting in their desks, doing whatever, right? That's like good school.
Yes.
You can't get innovators and
No.
leaders when you've taught them how to be bubble fillers.
Yes. Inside the box thinkers. I mean, like, they
Yes.
don't know how to think critically. They don't know how to problem solve. I used to say that actually to my students.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the gift of problem solving. Like, whenever
Yeah.
they came to me with something that was like something I knew they could figure out on their own. And I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
going to give you the gift of problem solving. And then they would start to say that to each other. Don't go over there. She's just going to tell she's going to give you the gift of problem solving. And they're like, and they would say it to each other. They're like, I'm going to give you. I'm like, yes.
Yes, but that means you did it. Like you did it.
I know. I'm like, it is a gift. I go, and you might not figure it out right away, and you might not figure it out at all. You might fail. That's okay. I'm like, you'll figure it out from that. And they're like, okay. And they would like, like stomp back, somewhere else. And it was just, I don't know. Oh, I feel like, I'm like ready to charge. So tell me more about
good.
Yeah. So things like STEMCon, where we're talking about that outside of the box thinking, where we're like celebrating failure and resilience and grit, and we're determination, and we're like looking at the world in that way. Those are some of the things that can be different for us. And like talk a little bit about like even what you offer in your company, because I think that's a place to go for sure.
Thanks. So can I do a little plug? Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
All right. So in the summer, we are going to be releasing a year-long simple STEM program, professional development for teachers. Cool. And it's not, at least knock on wood, like anything you've experienced before. And it's really based on, so my colleague, she's like my Dr. Watson to, Sherlock, like she's the reason why I don't look like a nut, because she's so good at what she does. So I do the learning theory, and she has her specialty in professional development. And so when we look at professional development, those one day, like one and done kind of deals, they don't stick unless you apply it, right? I mean, and that's the reason why I love STEMCon so much, is because all of the stuff that you're doing in STEMCon can be just used like that, right? Like you could just pop it into your year, and the next day, right? And so what we're designing is one step kind of I shouldn't say above that. It's like giving you a different framework from maybe what you're already used to. So my focus is on teaching methodology, taking like whatever it is you have in your classroom, regardless if you have the 14-year-old curriculum from science,
Yes, that's my state.
Right?
Seriously, I'm like the next generation science standards. I don't even know if they know what they are. Like sometimes I think that I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's like,
and just one thing about NGSS, because now you just touched on something I'm very passionate about. Next generation science standards, one thing I love about them is because it's three-dimensional. It's got the processes in there. It's not so much about the facts. Facts are only 1/3 of it, but it's about the connections. It's about the critical thinking and all those processes, which also aligns with Common Core. But one of the things that I found is actually twofold. I'll say this just in general, okay? I don't want to make people upset. I'm going to say this in general. Many teachers that come to me are either afraid of science and they don't try it, or there's these hopes and aspirations for their students to be able to think critically, to be, problem solvers, to be self-directed learners, but they may not know the teaching methodology to get that to happen in the class. So my work and our professional development revolves around understanding processes, understanding how you as a teacher can teach process so that any content that you have will still be very powerful in your classroom, because it's not about memorizing facts.
Yeah.
Because of course, if you've got 14-year-old curriculum, the facts are like useless these days, right? But
Yes.
it's about, okay, let's crack out this 14-year-old curriculum and let me pull out an article from last week and let's talk about and compare and contrast.
Let's compare and contrast. I was just going to say that. Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
and so what I try and do is we've taken, like for instance, common elementary lessons, snowflakes, right? In the winter, everybody loves doing snowflakes. I used to love doing snowflakes, even as a kid. And we took that and just added steroids to it, so to speak. So we aligned it to all the Common Core, and then just gave suggestions on easy ways to do snowflakes that made that learning so much more powerful. For example, make snowflakes with tangram shapes. Count your tangram shapes, right? What about symmetry? Like, make a snowflake that has, bilateral symmetry versus radial symmetry, right? Or
you're integrating different thinking skill. I mean, different like schools of thought, like science, technology, engineering, math. Yes.
Right?
Yes. And it completely raises the level of I hate that word. I don't want to say rigor, because that makes like my blood boil. Because I feel like we've just overused it so much, but it raises that level of thinking. It's like that's so cool.
Higher order thinking, right? Yes. Like when we talk about Bloom's taxonomy, that's really it. And so, that's what we focus on, is like, it's not so much, it's almost like sorry, my dog is trying to get my attention. She's been in quarantine with us. She's a spoiled brat. So I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know if you just heard her where she's like, pay attention to me. Okay. So anyways, what was I going to say?
Bloom's taxonomy.
So when we look at critical thinking, it's a shift in the ways you present things, and that's it. But if you know how to make those shifts, something like snowflakes can be, mentally exhaustive for your students, which is exactly what you want.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, and so that's what we do. So this year of STEM is designed for teachers who, I know that there's a lot of districts now that hire one teacher to teach STEM to everybody.
Yes.
So
we have
that. So this is, yep. And I'm seeing that a lot, because we got a bunch of teachers that came in and they were like, oh, I got this exciting job, but I have no curriculum. And so we're like, well, here you go. So a year of STEM is, things you can do with science, things you can do that you're probably already used to, but twisting it, but framed with a little bit of professional development each time.
Yeah.
So the summer, though, I'm actually redoing the summer quarter for a bit. Like, we'll be developing a professional development specifically to help teachers adapt to these online settings and adapt to whatever it is, that environment is going to give for them. How can you do things so that you feel good about it? It's going to preserve your sanity, right? And all of those things. So so that's kind of in the works.
That's incredible. So do you have links to certain things that people can like visit now? Like they're listening and they're like, oh, okay, good. All right. So share those with me, and then I will put them in my show notes so that people can find this, because this sounds incredible.
Thank you.
I'm serious. And I know that and I'm going to have you back so that we can talk specifically about like next generation science standards and how it overlaps with Common Core, because I want to hear that too. Like I could just like pick your brain forever, I feel like, but like this show is going to go on forever. So I'm like, my listeners are like, whoa, but no, because it's like, it's all so important. It's just so important.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Like that makes me feel really hopeful that there are people that feel like we've got to do these things differently. It's got to be different.
Yes. Yes. And being able to have the tools for it, you know, I mean,
Absolutely. Yes. Because we can't just do
yeah,
the same thing and go, well, here you go. It's got to be different. Go figure it out for yourself. So
like, that's not going to work.
no, it's not going to work. It's going to be impossible again. So like, it's important to have these kind of
Yeah.
professional development opportunities, because we're not probably going to get things like that in our school system. So we're going to have to go outside of it. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I've
Oh, thank
actually
you for
really enjoyed
having
this.
me.
Thank you for
Same
coming.
here. Thank you, Trina, very much.
Thank you. I told you it was a long one, but wasn't it so good? I love it. Okay, everything will be linked to in the show notes. I do want to remind you, if you want to join us at STEMCon 2020, then you can register at my link at bit.ly, and it's bit.ly /Deborah STEMCon 20. I hope to see you there. This one tired teacher is fired up and excited. Until next time, sweet dreams and sleep tight.